So things have got a little weird around the office this week. You guys might notice the Cup Car 2.0 sim rig completely stripped down. And then right here, I've got a bag of Haribo gummies, which can only mean one thing. Apex sent new gear to test. I'm actually going to eat these right now. Might need that energy later. Today we're actually going to be focusing on the mBoost, which I have had for quite a while. I just didn't want to review without having the CRP pedals to go with it. Now, one of the cool things about working with Apex Sim Racing is they let me say what I want to say about a product. There's no strings attached, and they're still going to send me other stuff to review, even if I don't like something and I tell you guys I don't like it. So I don't really have to worry about there being repercussions when I tell you guys that my initial impressions of the mBoost pedal is that it's a bit gimmicky. And for the record, the brands that do tell me what to do or what to say, you won't ever see on this channel. You guys know who you are. We're just going to leave it at that before I get myself in trouble. Now, in all fairness to Moza and their mBoost pedal, I've not yet had the opportunity to connect it to the CRP pedals and actually give it a proper tune and test. But we can go ahead and fix that right now. Starting with the durability test, since that thing just yeeted itself right off the chair. Now we're going to start by unboxing the mBoost pedal because that's what we're focused on in this video. In the next video, I'm going to be putting the R25, the Moza AB9, and any other Moza gear I have back on the rig to do a proper test and see how far it's come in the last 7 months that I've been holding on to it. So first off in the box, we've got the power block, which is absolutely massive. Of course, you've got your cables and hardware for mounting, all that in there. They do a pretty good job of making things feel premium by putting them in dust bags and stuff. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with the hardware, but previous experiences with the software made it a little bit lacking. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they've done with the ecosystem since, and looking forward to doing a proper test with the mBoost, because it is something I was genuinely excited about for a while. The pedal itself actually is quite solid. It's made from CNC machined aluminum, uses a 200 kilogram load cell. Then on the inside, a high torque servo motor with a ball screw to simulate real world physical effects. Now let's get into the CRP2 pedals, which aren't necessarily the star of the show, but I'm still going to want to do a little bit with them as I get into the ecosystem review. On top, as you guys can see, we've got the mounting plate for the pedals. Underneath that, we have the actual pedals along with all of the hardware, cables, everything you need to get them mounted. I'm not going to break open all those bags and show you guys. We're just going to focus on the pedals because you guys know what hardware and USB cables look like. Now I'm going to assume that this is the throttle pedal, which has a pretty decent amount of firmness to it. Like as I push on it, it's not overly soft and it looks pretty adjustable. So we'll get into that more as we install it on the rig. And then without even taking this one out of the bag, it's obvious that it's the load cell because of the weight in it. But then you guys can also see the bigger cylinder. And it doesn't necessarily push in as much. But it doesn't feel like it's going to be overly firm either. They both look like they're made with the same quality as the mBoost pedal, which means they'll match nicely. Whether the quality of the material is any good, we'll find out later. For now, we're just going to focus on the throttle pedal because I don't have the clutch and we're going to be using the mBoost for the brake. I probably could use the load cell for something, but the thing is, it's probably too firm to use as a clutch or a throttle, so I'll probably just end up installing the clutch paddles on my racing wheel. Guess I'll be using the manual screwdriver on this one because I forgot to charge my electric one. So I wasn't planning on sharing all the packaging with you guys, but as I opened up this box, I noticed they have some elastomers with springs, and they've kind of adopted the Sim Magic concept with these little like lifesaver size elastomers that you can adjust the different pressures on so you can have multiple stages. Don't eat these. They do actually include quite a few tools in the bags. So since they already have their own tools in here, I'm just going to use these so I don't have to try to hunt down the right sizes and make sure they fit since I don't have the electric one anyways. So we'll start by getting the throttle pedal put on, and I'm just going to kind of guess where I think it's going to feel right based on where my current pedal set is. And hopefully that'll line up fairly decent. I retract my previous statement. I will be using my screwdriver because it'll be easier to reach in there with it. So installation is relatively easy. As you guys saw, 4 bolts per pedal. Connect the throttle cable over here to the brake boost pedal. And this thing's ready to go on the rig. All right, so I've had the pedals installed in the rig for a couple hours now. And I've been working on trying to get the settings dialed in, and I think I finally got them right. So I decided to start testing these pedals on iRacing because I'm really familiar with the track and the title, and this is where I do a majority of my racing. I've got a lot of hours in Nürburgring, and I know pretty much how the car should feel and handle. So it was a good baseline to kind of try to dial these pedals in. And I realized after a few hours of messing with it that the biggest impact, I think, to how the pedals feel is getting the dampening right. They naturally turned it up way too much, and there's like a huge disconnect. The pedal's not responsive. And now, having dialed that back, I don't know that I would say that it's even close to my Ace Attack pedals, but it is relatively good. Like, compared to some of the other pedals I've used, I've got a nice firm brake pedal, and it feels decent. The feedback from it, like getting into ABS, having that kickback is nice, but it still feels muted and slightly manufactured. Like, if you've ever had your ABS like crunch under your feet, something about this just feels a little bouncy or off to me. And maybe I still need to dial in the settings a little bit more. I have also seen people say that iRacing effects are a little more muted with this pedal, and that ACC might be better. So we will be jumping over there to test that next. I just really wanted to get a feel for the track and see how the car was handling. And honestly, like I said, it's really not bad, but I'm just not, as of right now, I'm not convinced that the little bit of haptics you're getting could just be, you know, as good with a butt kicker under your pedal deck. And that's where, like I said, I feel like it could be kind of gimmicky, and it's definitely not selling me right now. Now let's jump over to ACC and see if that changes at all. So I really want to like this pedal because it's something that moves us closer to realism in sim racing if it's right. And it just gives another layer of feedback that adds to the immersion. So I decided to go back out and try making one more tune and coming back into iRacing. And this time I just turned up a lot of the feedback. And ABS, the one thing I was most happy with, I think is a little bit overkill now. It actually felt okay before. Like, I like the ABS kick, but the rest of the details, I think I might be getting a little wheel slip, but just barely. Like, I just lost control of the car, barely felt it. But outside of the wheel slip, I don't really think that I'm getting any of that other feedback. So we're gonna jump over to ACC and see if this gets any better, because I really want there to be some justification for this pedal. Maybe it's not even justification I'm looking for on this one. It might just be a little bit of precision, because like in my experience, I've tested quite a bit of Moza gear, and it's all a lot of fun. The AB9, probably my favorite shifter that I've ever used, but it's absolutely terrible if you have it in 7 or 8 gears. As long as you keep a 6-gear pattern, it's great. And I feel like that's kind of my experience with Moza in general, is that it's super fun, but it's not necessarily dialed. And I think it all roots back to that software. But maybe I'll get lucky and ACC will be a little bit better. All right, guys, so I decided to load into AC Evo. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop the car here so you guys can see this. When I loaded in, I wasn't exactly feeling like I was getting any more than I was in iRacing. So I turned everything up, and you guys can see this brake pedal now. That's just from the idle of the engine. And as I start accelerating, it actually smoothens out just like your actual car. Like, it's got a really rough idle, and then it smooths out, and you can actually hear the engine. I don't know if it'll come through the microphone, but you can actually hear the engine through all the RPMs, and you can feel the vibration through the pedals. Not any different than I'd be able to feel them through any kind of haptics that I could have on the rig. But the fact that I can feel them means that it's doing something other than just ABS, which, by the way, ABS turned all the way up on this thing can get absolutely violent. My whole rig shakes. So the wheel spin I'm feeling when I launch now. The engine vibration, while way too high, is definitely there. And ABS is also there. The main problem I have now is that I can finally feel it, but the delivery is just so messy that I feel like maybe if I gave it one more little tune, I want maybe a higher frequency on the engine, do something a little more nasty with the ABS, where it gives me a little bite to it instead of shaking the whole rig. Might even need to smooth it out a little. Wheel lockup is chaotic, but we're gonna leave that kind of high. So now with a little bit of tuning, the engine vibration feels pretty good. The wheel lock actually kicks pretty hard, and the ABS just gives me that like kind of crunchy feeling. It actually feels pretty good. I'm kind of wondering if now that I figured out how to set the feedback, if iRacing would feel a little better. I still don't feel the precision in it, and really the wheel lock is the only thing that has the right kick to it to justify this over just using haptics. Aside from the fact that it's just not as like refined in the braking, which I think I could tune in a little more, is that it's extremely noisy. Like, I normally have headphones on, so I don't really care, but I hear a lot of what the motor's doing down there, and it is a little bit obnoxious. All right, guys. So this isn't typically how I'd like to do my review videos. You know, I usually like the cinematics and to give you guys a proper review. But for this one, I thought I would actually show the process of testing it and like adapting to it and everything that went into it, because I knew it was going to be a little bit more challenging. I also have the full ecosystem review next week where I could talk about the settings and get into a lot more details. But for this particular video, I really just wanted to give you guys the experience of starting with something that isn't set right and show how bad it could be. What I should have shown you is how many crashes I had just trying to get that thing dialed in that first couple hours, because the pedal just was way off. Once I figured out that I needed to lower the dampening, it got a lot better. And once I started tuning everything, the haptics got a lot more fun. I still don't know if there's justification for getting that pedal over just getting a proper load cell with haptics. But over the next week, I'm going to work on figuring that out, and I'll let you guys know in the next video. After that, we can get back to the Cup Car 2.0 build, because I should have everything painted and have it ready to put back together. And I'll be able to do that in one whole video rather than in a whole build series like I've done up to this point. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and until next time, I'll see you out on the track.